Top of the evening to you. It is Patty's Day. If you're watching the show, you're probably not sloppy. If you're watching the show and you are sloppy, that would be interesting. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. This is green. So I couldn't, I asked like 6 different people which one today. Jess thought this might be better. Steve thought this might be better. And that's how it was kind of split all day long today. So you don't mind if I just throw my shirt over on the side there, do you? I went with this one. What are you going to do? You got to make decisions in life. Joe Cammarano is my guest, the professor from Providence College, who has studied the governor's budget and is pretty bullish on it. So he and I should have another great conversation. I thought he was more national and big picture, but when PC said, hey, Professor Cammarano is available to talk about the local budget, I said, seize the moment, because I like this Jersey guy, and sometimes we don't agree on stuff, so that can be fun. All righty, let us get to the rundown and dig in on some of the things we're doing. This is a fascinating thing that happened today on the radio, where the Senate president called the Journal out a little bit. This park controversy, the park testing, is a really, really, it's getting out of control already, and no clear guidance from either side. Frank Williams is back, and he's trying to work his magic on the pension deal. He'd like you to call him Abe Lincoln. Just came up with that one. It's kind of what you do when you're working for that organization these days, and your state of mind is important to us. All right, let's breeze through some of these concepts that we have for discussion tonight. Journal motive in question, yeah. Editorial this past Sunday, Raimondo's budget. And inside the editorial, in addition to a whole bunch of criticisms and disappointments and faking left and going right that the Journal accused the governor of, they write, she also attacks the public's right to know by trying to shift publication of vital notices from print in the Journal and other state newspapers to an obscure website, something press advocates and such groups as the ACLU have warned would make it difficult or impossible for much of the public to be adequately informed. Given Rhode Island's blatant corruption and tendency to secrecy, a former House Speaker pleaded guilty to felony. This is not the time to make it harder for the public to be informed on the flimsy pretext of saving a pittance in an $8.6 billion budget. Well, Teresa Paiva-Weed, who for the most part is a political wallflower, said to Gene Valicenti on the WPR Morning News this morning that she questions motive, sort of, by the Journal.
I think the Journal probably should have had a disclaimer at the end of that, as they indicated in the editorial that they had real concerns about the online advertising, which has been, a real concern for any print media.
But what she was reacting to is the question, hey, the Journal was really critical overall about this budget. And what she's insinuating is that the Journal's own financial well-being has guided their editorial position. Now, know the difference. There's editorial opinion and then there's reportorial journalism, right? And the twain can be very different. But the Journal's got a problem here. The Senate president calling out the Journal should not be ignored by the Journal. If I were them, I'd take that soundbite, put it into print, put it on the front page, and have them respond. The one thing that they messed up in their editorial was that they should have disclaimed how much money they stand to lose from this budgetary proposal not to advertise that kind of stuff anymore in the local newspaper. If they ignore this, it could be a field day of the Journal's motives on their editorial page being questioned. And I can't remember years back anyone having the gall to do that. Times are changing, and Teresa Paiva-Weed took quite the shot. Next item, the students protest teacher suspension. Yeah, this PARC thing, this new test, the acronym known as PARC, has got everybody freaking out. We got a headline here where the kids coming out and saying, listen, bring back our teacher. What happened was that this local teacher, in response to a lot of the query in the classrooms about the kids wondering if they had to take this new standardized test, I guess he told them that he wasn't going to take a stand one way or the other, and it was kind of their decision.
English teacher William Ashton told Eyewitness News that he was suspended Friday and escorted off campus for statements he made to students about the new standardized test that started Monday morning. The school superintendent refused to say if any teachers had been suspended or for what reason. A parent of one of the students protesting said they aren't going anywhere.
They plan on being out here every day, morning and afternoon, until Mr. Ashton is back in the classroom where he belongs.
Students took to social media saying Ashton was only trying to clear up confusion about the test.
Look, there is a lot of confusion about the test, and there's a groundswell of parents nationwide and in the state that are saying they're not going to have their kids take this test. Too much tension, too nervous. Others have a qualm with the methodology, the technology, the platform. But, you know, back in my day when men were men and sheep were sheep and we all walked to school uphill both ways in 4 feet of snow and parents were parents, you might have had a disagreement with what was going on in the system, but you didn't pull your kids out in the middle of it. And this teacher simply should have said, folks, the policy is that you're going to take a test. Take the test. Instead, he did the reportedly. We haven't heard from him. The Department of Education is admittedly kind of ambiguous about it because they say, well, we don't have a policy about opting out. State Representative Greg Amori from East Providence is putting a piece of legislation in to give parents a forum to be able to opt out of this test. There's a lot of dynamics at stake here, but confusion reigns, and anarchy is not far away in the school system. The special master magic, that's what I called it. Yeah, Frank Williams is back in the saddle. He has been assigned special mastership. Here's the headline of the vote on the new pension settlement. Ironically, there will be a meeting at Twin River, if you can believe that, coming up next week, next Monday, with the retirees who reportedly have said they are going to thumbs up, or at least the leadership of the retirees union wants to thumbs up, approve this deal that has been offered by the special master. So Frank Williams, the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, is running this show. He's a cagey guy. A lot of people would say he's a brilliant guy. I find him to be quite the strange duck, to be honest with you. But strange duck aside, it'll be interesting to see if he can pull this thing off. But here's the thing. I don't think this ought to be the goal. Never thought it should be the goal. Judge Sarah Taft Carter wants this thing off her desk desperately. She's the judge in the case. She's appointed Frank to kind of work this thing out. This test case needs to be decided by the courts as to whether or not the legislature has the constitutional right to change the numbers one way or one direction or another with this pension deal. I don't know if we're going to get there. It's a mess. The trial is slated for later in April. I guess it's a culture problem with the secret slurvis. That was a good one. Just put that one in today. CNN.com. Yeah. I watched a little bit of this. It wasn't pretty. CBS has it.
New Secret Service Director Joseph Clancy is in the hot seat on Capitol Hill.
This will not stand.
Clancy is on Capitol Hill to talk about his agency's budget, but is facing questions about a March 4th incident when 2 senior agents allegedly ran their government SUV into a White House barrier and disrupted a suspicious package investigation. A supervisor sent them home without making them take a sobriety test.
It's going to take time to change maybe some of this culture.
In 2012, 11 agents were accused of drinking and soliciting prostitutes ahead of a presidential trip to Colombia. And last September, a fence jumper made it all the way inside the White House before officers tackled him. Clancy is the agency's 3rd head in less than 3 years.
You know, there's a difference between competence and party animals. I mean, listen, they work hard, they play hard, these Secret Service personnel. It's embarrassing, though, no doubt about it. And this guy's got a big task at hand, and Congress has a field day peppering him while he's asking for a thorough investigation that he doesn't bias by jumping into early. Congress takes the political opportunity to beat the tar out of him, and it's the same old story. But culture change is hard. I'm not so sure the hard party thing is such a big deal, but competency certainly is. All righty, your state of mind is important to us. 228-1886 is the number. You can Facebook post or tweet at us. I guess we got a couple of posts on Facebook today that just got out of the bag here. Janice says, Dan, I'm a retired state worker. I thought I would put that up front since I may be biased. I just want to say if the court case goes against the state, Governor Raimondo will not be able to take care of anyone. Well, I don't think the court case is going to go against the state, to be honest with you. In fact, I'd throw the mortgage down that it won't go against the state. And then David says, so standing in line at the mall, listening to an hour of problems, hint, fix this broken state. Oh, that's in response to Governor Raimondo saying that she wants to take care of everybody, as the long list of complaints and worries and challenges were offered to her at the mall the other day. An hour at the mall does not give you a reading as to where we are. Little glimpse, but not a real reading. And the governor is just falling over herself trying to parent the state. I wonder what my guest will think about that. That and more when we come back. Stay with us. Professor, good day.
Good to be here.
Thanks for coming. I have notes from Joe, and he thinks this is a pretty good budget by Governor Raimondo. Do you not?
I think it's actually a pretty good incremental budget, yeah.
All right. Here's the headline. I forgot. We're supposed to go to the headline first. I have not been drinking, I promise you. I have the wrong green shirt on, too. Jumpstart for economy. Okay. That's what at least the Journal headline gave her credit for. The editorial certainly didn't. And here's a little snippet from the other night.
Tonight I propose a comprehensive jobs plan that will operate in waves, with the first wave being the most robust to kickstart our effort. We can't just sit back and expect jobs to appear.
You know, it's interesting. She's talking about a wave. I'm looking for it. You think you found it, maybe?
There's symbolic language in this budget. There's a wave, there's an anchor, and it's part of the narrative. It's saying, you know, we're really trying to create this wave. I think the economy is improving. It started improving before she got elected, and she's going to benefit from it, and so, yeah, it's a wave.
The May numbers, when they revisit receipts, may be better than they project, which could help her. But systemically, we still have some significant difficulties that she's going to have to try to fix, and so many governors have tried to, because we're chronically looking at deficits. Mm-hmm. We're always looking at deficits. But you gave me some notes. You think this thing is pretty well put together, and you think it's a cross-political project that is working in the right direction, right?
I do. I think over the past several years, probably starting at the end of the Carcieri administration, there's been sort of an increasing numbers of budget professionals who've been hired. These are people who are trained in public administration and public finance. And they have, over the past several years, worked very hard to systematize. And it's coming forward. And this is the type of person who wants good government reforms.
She also thinks government's the answer to everything. No doubt about it.
No, I don't think that that's right. If you look at the way that she's promoting economic development, she's trying to create an incentive system so that the private sector will reinvest, particularly in blighted urban areas. That's what her whole idea of a TIF is, tax increment financing system.
Explain that to everybody.
Basically what it does is it provides an incentive for someone to move in and improve a property. By saying they only have to pay property tax on the value of the property the day they buy it, no matter how much an increase in value there is for a 25 or 30-year period. And it's a way to get people to come in because they're paying very low property taxes for a long, long time, even though their property is really valuable.
That and a couple of other things in the budget I think are interesting and worth giving a run for. But what's missing for me, and it's consistent with her, because she said all during the campaign that she doesn't think there's a silver bullet, there's no one answer. But I don't know what she's done here in this budget that could be put on a billboard or a welcome sign that says, "Here's how we're different now."
Well, I think,
and I'm craving that.
Okay. Well, I think first of all, our desire for a silver bullet is very much misplaced. What she has done is she has acknowledged that there has been stuff put in place, like the lowering of the income tax. The highest income tax got lowered by 2 points to 7%. And that's going to help now that the economy is picking up. The idea of streamlining the regulatory process, which is what she wants to do. She wants to consolidate a number of licensing boards. These are all sort of small technocratic approaches that have sort of this layering effect of creating a much more efficient, much more effective trustworthy government.
And incrementally, I think those things are important.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't argue with taking some of the layers of bureaucracy out, but what I'm looking for is something that signals to the rest of the world that we're serious about business, and I don't understand why we can't just place ourselves in a competitive role with our neighbors and make a commitment to be competitive on the big metrics with Massachusetts and Connecticut, a la income tax, a la sales tax. And I understand, look, if she's willing, she got whacked by the Journal for this. I'm not so sure I agree with the Journal. She's gotten whacked by the Journal for being a little bit tricky with her refinance, meaning pushing some debt out through the back. But I would say that if she made a big systemic change, which gave us a short-term cash flow problem, I would even feel, okay, what do we do to stem that cash flow tide? Maybe we got to play around with the debt or incur some in order to be able to jumpstart this thing. I don't see anything big like that. I think we need it.
Yeah, I think she is very much a mechanic in terms of trying to sort of get this car running well. She's not rebuilding the engine yet. And I think you can't rebuild the engine if you need the car and it's not running. You just fix it. She'll go on to that later. And I think what's happening is she's putting into place certain things that will make this place much more attractive. The fact that Connecticut, the median income, per capita income, 60 grand, and we're much, much lower than that. We're much lower than Massachusetts. That means we have a smaller tax base. That means that people are more dependent on the government. And she's got to deal with that now.
And she's got no interest in breaking that cycle.
Oh, I think she does.
Oh, I don't. Where in your reading or watching her do you see a philosophy that she wants to break that cycle? I don't see it.
Well, actually, she's essentially a corporate Democrat. She's a corporate progressive Democrat, where she believes that the private sector, she is a capitalist, the private sector will come in if there are good incentives for them to come in. And you don't get that through those big hits like the 38 studio sort of fiasco. You get them by sort of working on those tiny little details.
I think we got to be careful with this 38 studios thing. That was a stealth, corrupt process. You know, a General Assembly would never have approved that thing in the light of day. It would never have happened.
You know, I have to disagree with you on that. I think that, yes, there was a lot of underhanded stuff going on, but I think everybody knew about it. I certainly knew about it. I certainly thought it was a dumb idea. I thought it was ludicrous even before it was approved.
When the $125 million loan guarantee program was approved by the legislature, you knew it was targeted for 38 studios?
Yeah.
How did you know?
I believe that it was already out there in discussion, that was part of the discussion, this was not done in the middle of the night. This was a big deal. We knew the Carcieri was working on it. We knew that the legislative leaders were working on it. Of course we did. There were rumors.
We'll have to dispute the historical facts on that one. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the things the governor said recently and how it's reflected in this budget. Stay with us.
I believe that she is demonstrating that we all need to come to the table and work hard, and she is asking people to make sacrifices and has demonstrated leadership in a very symbolic but important way by making that statement.
I don't know. I think Teresa probably we just like the fact that Gina was so nice to them at the rostrum for the budget address. That's my take anyway. Couldn't have two better leaders back and forth, rub your tummy, blah, blah, blah.
I know Rhode Islanders aren't used to the idea of executives and legislative leaders working together, but I thought that was actually a very positive sign.
Let me play a piece of audio from newsmakers this weekend that we talked about last night.
And on a personal level, I just feel responsible for everybody. You know, I feel when you're treasurer, you worry about the pensions. Now it's everything. It's the economy, it's health care, I went to work mall the other day to read to some kids, and I stood in line for almost an hour because people just came up to me to tell me about their problems. Who's out of work, who can't afford their mortgage, I feel responsible to take care of everybody.
Frightening comment.
Well, first of all, I did watch that, and I think you're taking it out of context. This was sort of toward the end of the discussion where they asked her how it was different between being treasurer and being governor.
Right. She ran a campaign suggesting that in one person's life experience that Gina had saved her life twice. There's a little bit of a paternal complex here, maternal in nature. In fact, you sent me some notes that you think there's a gender issue here that you think is an asset. My philosophy, I'm more concerned with yours than mine, because people know how I stand on this. Government's not here to take care of everybody's problems. I'd like to see some leadership that says, listen, buckle down, contribute, be a winner, self-starter. This notion that I'm there to take care of everybody. You try to take care of everything and everybody, you take care of nothing. That's my thought. But
well,
yours?
you know, I think you just encapsulated the difference between sort of legislatures and processes dominated by men versus women. All sorts of research in political science, it's unequivocal. Things change when women are in office, particularly leadership positions. And what happens is it becomes less this ideological dialogue about what the principle is and more about how do we make things better for the people involved. Women, when they get into the legislatures, the issues they focus on, but also the way that they behave and the way men behave as a result in that legislature are more collaborative and more cooperative.
I don't know that a philosophy of leadership and asking people to step up and participate in this state's recovery is an uncollaborative notion. But the idea that you're going to take care of everybody or that you worry about taking care of everybody tells me that there's a subtle ego problem there that is way out of line, and B, it's an unrealistic expectation and almost a sell job.
I do think there's always a problem of expectations versus the ability to follow through, and that a governor, particularly a Rhode Island governor, has limited authority and power. That's same is true of presidents, and in Rhode Island, the governor's informal in terms of their influence. So yes, she may not be able to deliver on it, but you know,
she's a very smart person.
I think a governor should care about every person in the state, even people they disagree with.
Well, they should be thinking about the state's overall welfare, which is different than articulating the message that you need to take care of everybody.
And where is it in the budget proposal that she's not trying to take care of the state's welfare on the whole?
Oh, I think her budget actually reflects her philosophy. I think she's been consistent the whole way through. I don't know that it's achievable to be able to just hit little spots here, there, and everywhere, and to make the kind of surge the state needs to turn its place, to turn this thing upside down.
Now you're trying to have it both ways, though, because earlier you said there's nothing big and bold. Now you're saying there are all these little technical things trying to take care of everybody. Right. Either she's doing things incrementally, which is the second point you made, or she's not making these big, bold changes. I mean, she's making incremental changes, which means she's not doing anything radical. This is not this crazy liberal budget. This is a very, very much status quo budget with tweaks here and there to re-emphasize.
And a few taxes here and there that are.
There are very few taxes. Where are they?
Well, the tax on the tax. Listen, the slippery slope in this state, especially with this legislature, when you start to tax second homes at $1 million or more, is a bad starting place.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I agree with you on that. I don't have one of those.
Oh, so it's not your concern?
No, I'm saying I don't have them.
You know, personal politics. Isn't that great to have them? One final thought when we come back. Stay with me. Coach Hurley on the NIT.
More experience, you know, in a tournament setting. It's in the postseason. It's playing a longer season, you know, which is part of it. And you know, those are all things that'll, you know, come back. You know, I think next year. You know, you'll see. I think you'll see the impact.
I think it is a springboard. Coach said it yesterday in the meeting we had. I think it's a good experience for us young players, EC and Haas, and Jarvis and I. I think it'll put us another step closer to getting where we want to go.
Hopefully they make a run. Tomorrow night we'll look at the NCAA brackets and PC's chances. See you on the radio tomorrow at noon on WPRO. Bye.